Hi, this is Renny Hartman again. I'm going to look briefly at Henry Charlton Beck's The Roads of Home and his other books that he wrote of New Jersey. This one is the Tales of the Northern Towns of New Jersey. These are the forgotten towns of southern New Jersey. Beck was a person who was born in Philadelphia but was raised in Collingswood, New Jersey, and he was a writer. He worked for newspapers. He was an editor. And he eventually one day discovered Ong's Hat, O-N-G''S, as a town in New Jersey, and said he couldn't find anybody who knew anything about it and whether it existed, so he set out to find it. And so he has become known in New Jersey as a folklorist, and eventually when there was a historical folklorist club invented, he became president. And I find his material fascinating, and I have done some follow-up with him. Years ago, I did a little freelance with the Observer, and I did the Tuckerton Mountains, the Tuckerton Railroad, the Forked River Mountains, the Tuckerton Railroad, Mount Misery in New Jersey, that were places that he went, because by this time they are quite different. Actually, when Beck set out, he was not trying to be a historian. He was always disparaged because he just went and talked to people and wanted to know where this road went, what this house had been, who had been in the town, had the town name changed. Many things have been obliterated by overdevelopment in New Jersey by this time. So, for instance, in the Roads of Home, he has the Old York Road, which you can still follow from Pennsylvania across the bridge to Lambertville, and then follow it up through New Jersey and get to the edge of New York State. And he says that a lot of people firmly believe that the Old York Road has washed out, wanders off, and comes to an end. And that is why I must tell you as much as I can about the road, which by the very name is both New York and New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Gives a clue to the fact that from the very beginning it led a bumpy but fairly direct way from Philadelphia to New York State, and now what is New York City. By the time most of the mud is gone and some of the tarred or macabre curves have left their own pleasant devices by more efficient but less picturesque ribbons of concrete, but even as many as the old houses, more to the point, the old legend hangs on. And so he follows the road, and then he will find people in the older houses and stop to talk to them. And because he's in the 30s and 40s, we are not as global as we were then. There were people with a lot of good memories and always they had stories to tell. And he was seeing people that might be children or grandchildren of those who fought in the Civil War. And sometimes he does find documents and goes to look for newspaper backgrounds and will report actual factual material. He was very interested in just the old stories and what had happened and who had been there. He also wrote of the old mine road, which is further north, and was supposedly the first highway in the country, was created by the Dutch. And there's supposedly copper mines along that road. If they had dammed the Delaware, as was planned back in the 60s at one time, and there was a lake behind it, that would have probably wiped out the old mine road. And now how much of that still exists, because New Jersey has just had incredibly huge development. There seems to be a house or a business or something on every blade of grass. So that I don't know that some of these things could be completely followed. He calls the Old York Road also the King's Highway, but I think the King's Highway was Route 1, which did run from Rahway to Bordentown. That was the way you went across New Jersey. If you were in New York, because you couldn't cross the Meadowlands, you took a boat to Rahway or Perth Amboy, and then you went down Route 1. That was the King's Highway. There is a map of New Jersey that has the King's Highway with each farm on the highway. And that's the way Ben Franklin went to Philadelphia. He was studying with his brother as a printer, but the printer wouldn't let him become a master. So at 17, he led Boston and came to New York, and he did go to Philadelphia down the same way. The first boat he was on, they ran into a storm, and so they didn't get to Rahway or Perth Amboy. He got washed up on Long Island, so he had to go back and start again. But he went down to Bordentown, then he took a barge to Philadelphia, and that's where he settled, and where we get the Farmer's Almanac and the Saturday Evening Post. Well, I really like Beck, and I'm looking up podcasting to see if I could do the same thing with podcasting with Beck's discoveries and non-discoveries, and how many places still exist for anyone who remembers them. And his material is available in libraries in New Jersey and at sale at Batso in New Jersey, and probably Allaire and the other parts of New Jersey. Thank you very much.